Commander Alara Voss stood on the deck of the Aurora's Reach, her eyes fixed on the barren planet below. The surface shimmered under the pale light of its distant sun, and scattered across the landscape were ruins, enormous and silent, stretching in jagged lines across valleys and plateaus. The expedition had been searching for signs of intelligent life for years, yet nothing had prepared them for the sight of these structures. They were unlike anything humans had ever encountered, monolithic and precise, yet strangely organic, as if they had grown from the planet itself. "Ilara," called Lieutenant Mara Singh from the observation deck beside her. "The scans are picking up faint energy readings inside the largest structure. It's unlike anything we've seen before?" Ilara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "Send in the drones. I want full scans. Interior, exterior, everything. We need to know what we're dealing with before we step foot inside." The hum of machinery filled the ship as drones launched from the bay, their sensors probing the ancient stone halls. The crew gathered around the holographic displays, watching as the drones mapped the interior. At first, the ruins appeared empty, vast chambers of silent stone, but then small anomalies appeared. Subtle shifts of light, faint energy pulses, a low hum that seemed almost alive. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Dr. Cale Jansen, the team's chief archaeologist, leaned closer to the display. "Look at the architecture," he said, voice tinged with awe. "The precision. These structures aren't just old. They're ancient, but the technology is advanced. There are patterns here that suggest some kind of integration between energy and matter. Whoever built this knew things we haven't even begun to understand." Mara frowned. "Do you mean it's alive?" Cale shook his head slowly. "Not alive exactly, but it's responsive. There's a presence here, something that reacts to energy, movement, maybe even thought." Ilara's jaw tightened. She had faced dangerous worlds before, but the feeling in her gut was different here. The ruins were silent, yet the silence itself seemed heavy, as if it were watching them. "Keep the drones inside. We'll assess the situation and decide our next move. No one goes in until we know what we're dealing with." Hours passed as the team monitored the drones. The energy readings remained faint but consistent, emanating from the central chamber of the largest structure. Shadows shifted oddly, as if the walls themselves were breathing. Every so often, the drones would flicker, momentarily losing signal, before returning with strange anomalies in their footage. By the time night fell on the planet, the crew had made their decision. The ruins were too important to leave unexplored. "We move in first light," Ilara announced during the briefing. "We proceed with caution. Stay sharp, trust your training, and remember, the unknown isn't automatically hostile, but it's not harmless either." The team prepared for descent, donning environmental suits equipped with sensors and portable AI companions for navigation. Ilara led the way, her footsteps steady despite the tension in her chest. As they approached the ruins, the sheer scale of the structures became more apparent. Massive walls rose like cliffs, carved with intricate symbols and patterns that seemed to shift subtly in the corner of one's vision. "Do you think these are writing?" Mara asked, running her gloved fingers over one of the carvings. "Or just decoration?" Cale crouched beside her, eyes scanning the patterns. "It's language of a kind. Not like anything on Earth, but the repetition and symmetry suggest communication. Messages, maybe, instructions, or warnings." Ilara studied the path ahead. The entrance was a vast archway, the interior darker than the fading light of day could illuminate. She activated the ship's external lights, revealing the textures of the stone. They were smooth in some places, jagged in others, yet the entire structure seemed deliberate, as if designed with both purpose and aesthetic in mind. As they stepped inside, a hush fell over the team. The air was still, heavier than the thin atmosphere outside, and every footstep echoed through the vast hall. The walls pulsed faintly, a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat. The AI companions flickered, projecting maps and light to guide the explorers, yet even the digital tools seemed cautious, their signals wavering as if uncertain about the space. Dr. Kyle broke the silence. This place, it's more than a ruin. It's a repository, knowledge, energy, history, something intended to last beyond its creators. Or to protect something, Mara muttered. Her voice betrayed the unease they all felt. They moved deeper, the halls widening into chambers that defied conventional physics. Some rooms curved impossibly. Others stretched into heights that seemed to touch the unseen sky above. The team encountered carvings on walls, depicting beings with elongated limbs, eyes that glowed faintly, and machinery integrated into their bodies. Humans interacting with these beings were shown carrying devices that pulsed with light, merging their actions with the architecture itself. Elara felt a chill run down her spine. We're not just looking at history. These carvings suggest interaction, maybe even collaboration between species. Suddenly, the faint hum that had pervaded the ruins grew louder. The walls vibrated subtly, and a soft glow emerged from deep within the largest chamber. The team stopped, instinctively forming a tight group. Is it coming from the center? Kyle whispered, eyes wide. Elara nodded. Yes, everyone stay alert. Move slowly. We don't know what's waiting for us. They approached the source of the light, the floor beneath them smooth and cool. The walls here were covered in carvings unlike any before, depicting spirals of energy and humanoid forms intertwined with glowing spheres. In the center of the chamber floated an orb, pulsing gently, as if it were breathing. The glow wasn't harsh, it was welcoming, yet there was an undeniable power emanating from it. Mara stepped closer, hand outstretched, but Elara grabbed her shoulder. Don't touch it. Not yet. Observe. Learn what it is first. The orb reacted almost immediately, pulses of light moving along the carvings, tracing patterns that seemed to tell a story. The team felt a connection, fleeting but undeniable, as if the orb was aware of their presence and testing their intentions. Kyle's voice trembled with awe. This isn't just technology, it's consciousness, the energy, it's thinking. Then it's alive in its own way, Mara said softly. Elara's mind raced. Humanity had always sought to explore, to understand, to reach beyond the stars. Here was something that challenged every notion they had about life, intelligence, and the universe itself. The decision they made now would define not only this expedition, but perhaps the future of human exploration. The team spent hours in the chamber, documenting the carvings, taking energy readings, and analyzing the orb's pulses. Every discovery hinted at a civilization far older and wiser than humans, a species that had merged their knowledge with the very fabric of their environment. As the day drew to a close, Elara called for a rest. We'll camp here tonight, she said. No one touches the orb until we understand it. We need sleep, and we need to prepare for what comes next. The crew settled on the smooth stone floors, still uneasy, but filled with wonder. Outside, the ruins stretched endlessly, silent and imposing. Inside, the faint hum of the orb resonated through the chamber, a reminder that the planet was far from empty, and that the secrets it held were only beginning to reveal themselves. Elara stared at the glowing orb, her thoughts drifting. Humanity had always believed in exploration and progress, but this place challenged even their wildest dreams. The ruins were silent. Yes, but they were not lifeless. Something lurked inside, watching, waiting, perhaps even guiding. and for the first time in her career, Ilara felt the weight of being part of something far greater than herself, a moment in history that could redefine what it meant to be human. As the crew drifted into uneasy sleep, the ruins seemed to pulse in quiet anticipation, aware of the humans within, and the first step of a journey that would test their courage, ingenuity, and the very essence of humanity had begun. The morning light filtered weakly through cracks in the stone ceiling, casting slanted beams across the vast chamber. Commander Ilara Voss rose first, as always, her eyes on the glowing orb that hovered in the center. The orb's pulse had slowed during the night, a gentle rhythm that almost resembled breathing. There was no sound, yet the hum in the air was unmistakable, a resonance that seemed to vibrate in the bones. The rest of the team stirred, rubbing sleep from their eyes and stretching muscles stiff from the cold stone floor. Dr. Cale Jansen crouched beside one of the carvings, tracing patterns with his fingers. These carvings. Last night I thought I understood some of the symbols, but today, they're different. I swear the patterns are shifting ever so slightly. Lieutenant Mara Singh frowned. Shifting? You mean someone came in and changed them? Kyle shook his head. No, there's no sign of anyone entering. I think the ruins themselves are responding. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Responding to what? Us, Kyle said quietly. Or our presence. Maybe even our thoughts. The commander studied the orb. It pulsed once, then twice, in a steady rhythm. She had spent years leading expeditions into dangerous worlds, but nothing had ever given her this sense of awareness. The ruins were not empty. They were watching, studying, and waiting. We need to move forward, Ilara said. We can't just observe forever. Let's send the drones deeper into the structure and follow carefully. Keep sensors active at all times. No surprises. The team obeyed, deploying drones into hallways that twisted and curved in ways that defied normal geometry. The walls were smooth and cold, their surfaces adorned with strange markings. Some depicted beings with elongated limbs, their faces serene but unreadable. Others showed devices emitting light and energy, merging with the beings' forms in patterns too complex to comprehend at first glance. As the drones advanced, readings spiked. Energy surged in certain areas, fading again just as quickly. Small shadows flitted across walls, appearing in corners where no light should reach. The AI companions aboard the drones occasionally flickered, their maps momentarily garbled before correcting themselves. The team could feel the tension building. This isn't random, Mara muttered. The ruins, they're alive in some way. Not alive like us, but aware. Cale nodded. Exactly. And I think they're testing us. Testing, Ilara repeated. How do you mean? Cale gestured toward the main chamber. Look at the carvings. See the humans interacting with the spheres and machinery? They're performing tasks, solving puzzles, demonstrating qualities. Courage, intelligence, cooperation. I think this place was designed to measure worthiness, not just shelter knowledge. Ilara considered this. Humanity had always prided itself on curiosity and adaptability. Perhaps the ruins were waiting for beings capable of understanding them, not just biologically alive, but mentally, morally, and creatively alive. The team ventured further into the ruins, moving carefully through chambers that seemed to stretch farther than the planet's horizon. The hum of energy grew louder, vibrating faintly in their ears. Shadows appeared in their peripheral vision, darting just out of sight. Sometimes the air felt heavier, pressing against their chests as if testing their endurance. They came to a hall where the walls curved inward, the floor inclined slightly as if to lead them to some central point. The carvings here were more intricate, depicting beings from the ruins' creators interacting with humans in ways that suggested mentorship rather than domination. Energy flowed between them. forming bridges of light and motion that connected mind to mind. Kale paused, awe in his voice. These depictions, they're teaching something. Not instructions in a literal sense, but a guide to understanding energy, consciousness, even morality. Whoever built this wanted beings capable of more than survival. They wanted beings capable of growth. Mara glanced nervously at the shadows flickering along the walls. And if we fail their test? Alara's jaw tightened. We won't. We adapt. That's what humans do. The team reached a chamber larger than any they had encountered so far. The air shimmered faintly, charged with energy. At its center, a second orb hovered, smaller than the first, but no less vibrant. As the humans approached, the orb pulsed in reaction to their steps. The carvings on the walls animated slightly, their light patterns responding to the humans' movements and proximity. Kale knelt to examine the energy signature. It's intelligent, he said, voice trembling. It's observing, learning from us. This is a sentient construct. Or perhaps the consciousness of the species that built these ruins has merged with the architecture itself. Ilara stepped closer, her voice firm. If that's true, then we're not intruders. We're participants. We need to be careful. But we also need to demonstrate who we are, what humans are capable of. The orb responded immediately, pulses quickening as if acknowledging her words. Shadows danced along the walls, and the hum shifted in tone, almost like a deep, resonant voice speaking a language they could not yet comprehend. Hours passed as the team interacted with the chamber, observing how the orbs and carvings responded. Each action had a consequence. A step to the left might illuminate a symbol, a touch on a surface might trigger a faint wave of energy. Even their emotions seemed to affect the response. The team realized that cooperation was key. Working individually produced fragmented results, but when they moved as a group, the energy patterns coalesced into coherent displays. Ilara noted this with satisfaction. Humanity had always relied on teamwork and ingenuity. Perhaps that was what the ruins were testing. Later, in a corridor lined with glowing inscriptions, Mara paused to examine a series of panels etched into the walls. These symbols, they're forming sequences. If we follow the patterns correctly, they react positively. If we deviate, the lights dim. Kyle joined her. Yes, it's a form of logic puzzle, but integrated with energy. This civilization didn't just build machines, they built living lessons embedded into their architecture. The corridor opened into another vast chamber, this one dominated by a crystalline structure. Light radiated from its facets, casting prismatic colors across the walls. As they approached, the crystals emitted pulses that synchronized with their footsteps. The team realized that their movements were part of a rhythm, a dance of sorts, that the ruins expected them to follow. Careful, Ilara warned. One misstep could... We don't know. Just observe and adapt. Step by step, they moved through the chamber, mirroring the energy pulses. Shadows leapt and flickered, guiding them along the correct path. The team felt a strange exhilaration, a mix of fear and wonder. For the first time, the ruins felt less like an empty tomb and more like a living, breathing entity, aware of their intentions and willing them to succeed. As they reached the far side of the chamber, the crystals emitted a bright flash, illuminating a path to the final inner sanctum. Here, the largest orb hovered, its glow brighter and more focused than any they had seen. The energy resonated with all the smaller orbs, creating a harmonic vibration that seemed almost musical. Kyle whispered, This is the core, the heart of their knowledge, their consciousness, their legacy. Mara swallowed hard. And it's aware of us. Ilara stepped forward, holding her hand over her sensors. Yes, and it's judging us, not as invaders, but as potential partners. We need to show that we're capable of understanding, of respect, of cooperation. They spent the remainder of the day experimenting with the orb, learning how their collective actions influenced its pulses. Every successful attempt illuminated more carvings, revealed more pathways, and deepened their understanding of the ruins' creators. It became clear that the ruins were not meant to be conquered or plundered. They were meant to teach, to test, and to prepare worthy beings for knowledge far beyond their current comprehension. As night fell, the team gathered in the central chamber, exhausted but exhilarated. Ilara looked around at her crew, seeing the awe and wonder reflected in their faces. Humanity had always reached for the stars, but now they were encountering a form of intelligence that challenged everything they thought they knew. "These ruins are alive," she said quietly. "Not in the way we are, but in a way that matters. And whatever is inside, whatever watches us, it's waiting to see if we're ready." The orb's gentle glow bathed the chamber in a soothing light. Outside, the ruins stretched endlessly, silent and imposing. But inside, the humans felt a connection, a promise that their curiosity, courage, and cooperation would be recognized. Ilara knew that tomorrow would bring even greater challenges. The lurking presence was no longer just a threat. It was a guide, a mentor, and perhaps the key to unlocking knowledge that could elevate humanity beyond imagination. And as the humans settled for rest that night, the ruins seemed to pulse with quiet anticipation, aware that these intruders were different. They were not here to destroy. They were here to learn, to adapt, and to prove that even across the vastness of the universe, humanity could rise to meet the challenge of the unknown. The first step into the heart of the ruins had been taken. The lurking presence had made itself known, not through violence or threat, but through observation, reaction, and the gentle insistence that humans demonstrate who they truly were. And deep within the core of the structure, the largest orb pulsed once, twice, and 3 times. A rhythm of recognition, waiting for the next move, the next decision, and the next moment when humanity would show that it was worthy of the knowledge it sought. The day began with a soft pulse of light from the central orb, illuminating the chamber in a steady, welcoming glow. Commander Ilara Voss awoke first, as she always did, and observed the orb's rhythm with cautious attention. Last night the team had learned much, but the true purpose of the ruins remained elusive. Every action seemed to trigger a response, yet the orbs themselves had not yet revealed the full measure of their intelligence. Dr. Kyle Jansen and Lieutenant Mara Singh were already awake, studying the carvings that had subtly shifted overnight. The patterns had changed slightly, as if the ruins themselves were adapting to the human's presence. Kale's eyes sparkled with curiosity and awe. "Every movement, every observation, it's like the ruins are alive. They respond to us, but not just physically. They seem to respond to our thoughts, our intent." Mara shook her head slowly. "If they're conscious, why haven't they done anything yet? Why not show themselves fully or stop us from entering?" Ilara stepped closer to the orb. "Because they're testing us. Not for punishment, but to see if we're ready. Ready for what, I don't know yet. But we'll find out if we proceed carefully." The team prepared for a deeper exploration, moving through corridors that seemed to bend and stretch impossibly. The walls pulsed faintly under their touch, and shadows flickered in corners where no light should reach. It was unsettling, but the human drive for discovery pushed them onward. As they approached a large chamber, Kyle held up a hand to halt the team. "Look at this," he whispered. The walls here were covered with intricate diagrams depicting energy flows, complex devices, and beings interacting with light that was almost alive. Humans were shown mimicking their gestures, moving in precise patterns, as if performing an elaborate ritual. Mara's brow furrowed. "It's like a dance, or a test of coordination." Kale nodded. "Exactly. The ruins are assessing how we work together, how we communicate, how we solve problems. The energy pulses in response to cooperation. If we act individually, the response is weak. Together we produce patterns that resonate more strongly. Ilara observed quietly, absorbing the lesson. Humanity had always thrived on teamwork and ingenuity. Perhaps that was the key to this place, the qualities the builders of the ruins valued most. They entered the chamber, following the energy patterns projected across the floor. The light shifted beneath their feet, guiding them in subtle movements. Each step, each gesture, caused responses from the walls and from smaller orbs positioned around the room. The team moved in careful coordination, adjusting instinctively to the changing patterns. After several hours, they reached the far side of the chamber, where a glowing archway led to another, even larger space. Here, the largest orb floated at the center, its pulses now stronger and more focused. Shadows along the walls seemed to stretch and shift toward them, not menacingly but with intent, as if observing, learning, and acknowledging their presence. Kyle approached the orb cautiously, extending a gloved hand. We need to understand it, not just observe. The orb's energy, it responds to emotion, thought, and intention. We can't force it, but we can guide it. Mara stepped forward beside him. How do we guide it? Ilara looked at both of them. By demonstrating what humans do best: cooperation, creativity, patience. That's what these ruins want to see. They spent the next several hours experimenting with the orb, trying various approaches to interaction. Sometimes their attempts failed. Steps that were too hasty or movements that lacked coordination caused the orb's pulses to dim, and the energy in the room receded slightly. Other times, when they worked as a team, the orb brightened, and the walls illuminated new patterns, showing symbols and diagrams that hinted at knowledge far beyond their current understanding. Kyle realized something important. The ruins are teaching us, but the lessons are subtle. They're not just testing intellect, they're testing understanding, the ability to perceive patterns, to cooperate, to anticipate consequences. That's intelligence, not just skill. Mara's voice trembled slightly. It's beautiful, but also overwhelming. How do we measure up? Are we ready for what comes next? Ilara's eyes remained steady on the orb. We don't know yet, but the only way to find out is to continue. Humans have always faced challenges we couldn't predict. We adapt, we learn, and we keep moving forward. That's how we survive and thrive. As the team progressed, the orb's pulses began to form sequences, patterns that could be interpreted as a kind of communication. Kale studied them, tracing the energy flows with his hands. I think it's guiding us, not through words but through intention and response. Each correct action resonates with the orb, reinforcing our progress. Each mistake dims the light, signaling that we need to adjust. The chamber seemed to respond more actively now, shadows along the walls becoming more defined, moving as if observing every subtle motion. Occasionally, a flicker of light would reveal a figure, impossible to define, existing almost between dimensions, a guardian entity that was neither fully visible nor completely absent. Mara whispered, "Do you see that? Something's moving there, but it's not human." Ilara nodded slowly. Yes, but notice, it hasn't harmed us. It's observing, testing, waiting. The team realized that the ruins were not hostile. The lurking presence they had sensed since their arrival was not meant to threaten them. Instead, it was a guardian, assessing their readiness, guiding their steps, and subtly shaping their understanding. Hours turned into a full day as the humans navigated the chamber. Each test required creativity, cooperation, and attention to detail. The orb pulsed more brightly with each success, and the walls revealed more intricate carvings, scenes of civilizations interacting with energy, mastering technology, and forming harmonious relationships with their environment. Ilara noticed a pattern emerging. The humans depicted in the carvings were always solving problems together, demonstrating courage, intelligence, and empathy. "That's what it wants to see," she said quietly. "Not just knowledge, but the essence of what makes a species capable of progress." Kyle added, "It's an advanced form of teaching. This civilization embedded its values into its structures. The Guardian, if that's what it is, ensures that only those who embody these qualities can access their full knowledge." Mara nodded slowly. "It's testing more than skill. It's testing character." The team reached a central platform within the chamber, where the largest orb hovered directly above a series of intricate carvings. The carvings now depicted humans interacting with alien technology in ways that mirrored their own actions, suggesting a direct correlation between their progress and the responses of the ruins. Ilara stepped forward. "This is it. Everything we've done has led to this moment. The orb, the Guardian, the carvings, they're showing us that we're capable. But we need to act carefully. One mistake could undo everything we've learned." The team moved as one, following the energy patterns, adjusting their steps and gestures to synchronize with the pulses. The orb responded with a brilliance that lit the chamber entirely, revealing a hidden passage at the far end. Shadows shifted toward the opening, no longer menacing, but welcoming, acknowledging the human's progress. Kale whispered, awestruck, "We've passed their tests. At least the first stage. The ruins recognize us as worthy of further understanding." Mara looked around the chamber, her fear replaced by wonder. "So the lurking presence, it's not an enemy. It's a guide, a teacher." Ilara smiled faintly, feeling the weight of their accomplishment. "Yes, and we need to remember that. Respect, cooperation, and courage, that's how we continue." As they prepared to move through the hidden passage, the orb's pulses intensified, creating a harmonic resonance that seemed to echo through the entire structure. The walls, floor, and ceiling vibrated subtly, as if the ruins themselves were alive, guiding the humans forward. Hours of exploration and interaction had exhausted them, but the team pressed onward, driven by the thrill of discovery and the promise of knowledge. They realized that the ruins were not merely a repository of information, but a living testament to the values of a civilization that had mastered both technology and morality. Ilara reflected quietly as they moved through the passage. Humanity had always reached for the stars, but these ruins represented a level of understanding far beyond anything they had imagined. The lurking presence was no longer a threat, but a mentor, shaping their path and preparing them for what lay ahead. The humans emerged into a vast chamber, filled with a gentle glow that illuminated corridors stretching in every direction. The energy from the orb radiated throughout, a guiding force that seemed to pulse with approval. The guardian entity, now more defined in shadow and light. Observed from above, its presence both reassuring and awe-inspiring. Kyle knelt to study the energy flows. This civilization, it valued growth, understanding, and the ability to work together. The Guardian ensures that only those who embody these qualities can access the knowledge fully. Mara's voice was soft, almost reverent. And we've proven ourselves capable, at least enough to move forward. Ilara looked at her team, pride and determination shining in her eyes. Yes, and tomorrow we continue. The lessons of these ruins are far from complete, but we are ready to learn, to adapt, and to prove that humanity is worthy of the knowledge we seek. As they settled for rest that night, the ruins pulsed quietly, a rhythm of observation and anticipation. The lurking presence had revealed its intentions, not through threat or harm, but through guidance and subtle testing. Humanity had taken the next step in understanding, and the ruins awaited the challenges to come, ready to shape the explorers into beings capable of grasping the wisdom left behind. For the first time, the team felt a profound connection, not just with the ruins, but with the civilization that had built them. They understood that the lurking presence, the guardian, and the pulsing orbs were all part of a larger lesson, designed to elevate those who approached with respect, curiosity, and courage. And deep within the central chamber, the largest orb pulsed steadily, a rhythm of recognition, waiting for the humans to continue their journey and to demonstrate the true potential of their species. The morning light spilled into the central chamber, catching the edges of the glowing orb and casting long, shifting shadows along the walls. Commander Ilara Voss rose quietly, letting her eyes wander over the intricate carvings and the softly pulsing energy that filled the space. The team had spent several days navigating the ruins, each step a test of their cooperation, intelligence, and patience. Now, it was clear that the lurking presence had moved beyond observation. It was preparing them for something greater. Dr. Kale Janssen was already awake, kneeling beside a series of energy conduits that ran along the floor. He traced patterns in the light with his fingers, murmuring observations under his breath. "The conduits are forming a network," he said softly. "It's like the ruins themselves are alive, communicating across distances. And the orb, it's the central node. Everything leads to it." Lieutenant Mara Singh joined him, her gaze fixed on the glowing sphere. "Do you think it will let us access everything? The knowledge? The technology?" Kale paused, his fingers hovering over the conduits. "I don't know, but I think that's what it wants to find out. Whether we are ready." Ilara appeared at their side, her expression steady. "Then we show it. All we've done so far is preparation. Now we move forward, together." The team proceeded into the inner sanctum, a chamber larger and more complex than any they had encountered. The walls shimmered with energy patterns, responding to their presence and movements. Shadows danced across the surfaces, sometimes forming shapes that were almost human, almost alien, before dissolving into light. The orb pulsed more intensely as they entered, as if acknowledging their approach. Kale knelt before the orb, scanning its energy with his instruments. "It's measuring more than action. It's measuring understanding. Each pulse resonates with intent, focus, and cooperation. It's the culmination of all the tests we've faced." Mara stepped forward cautiously. "Then this is the final stage." Ilara nodded. "Yes, and we need to be ready for anything." The orb emitted a bright pulse, and the chamber was bathed in light. For a moment, the team felt weightless, as if the floor itself had vanished. The shadows on the walls became more defined, forming shapes of beings, humanoid, yet distinctly alien, their eyes glowing faintly. The team realized that these forms were the guardians of the ruins, the lingering consciousness of the civilization that had built this place. Kyle whispered, awe in his voice. "They're alive in a way we can barely comprehend." Not flesh and blood, but consciousness, preserved in energy and stone. Ilara stepped closer to the orb, her voice firm but respectful. "We come with respect. We seek knowledge to learn, to grow, and to honor what you built." The orb pulsed again, slower this time, as if considering her words. Shadows along the walls shifted, leaning toward the humans in acknowledgement. The energy in the room hummed with a resonance that seemed to mirror their heartbeats, their breathing, their intent. For hours, the team engaged with the orb and the energy patterns, moving as one. Each gesture, each step, each decision was a part of a greater sequence. They discovered that subtle changes in movement or focus could redirect the flow of energy, unlocking new paths and revealing additional carvings on the walls. The Guardian's presence was never threatening. Instead, it guided them, encouraging observation, understanding, and creativity. Kale realized something profound. They're not just testing us, they're teaching us. Every sequence, every pattern is a lesson. We're learning how they viewed the universe, how they approached knowledge, how they integrated life and energy. Mara's eyes widened as she followed a sequence of lights across the chamber. It's incredible. We're interacting with their consciousness. We're part of something larger than ourselves. Ilara felt a quiet thrill. Humanity had always believed in progress and exploration, but now they were experiencing the legacy of a civilization that had transcended the limitations of the physical. The lurking presence was no longer a distant mystery. It was a teacher, a guide, and a mirror reflecting humanity's potential. The final test revealed itself gradually. A series of crystalline structures emerged from the floor, each glowing with energy. The team realized that they needed to align themselves with the patterns, moving in coordination to harmonize their energy with the crystals. Each misstep caused a dimming of the glow. Each correct alignment amplified it. Hours passed as they worked, adjusting their positions, their movements, and their focus. Sweat ran down their faces, muscles ached, yet they persisted. Slowly, the pulses of the orb synchronized with their steps, forming a steady rhythm that filled the chamber. Shadows along the walls grew less fragmented, merging into clear forms that watched approvingly. Kale's voice broke the silence. We're doing it. We're resonating with them. The Guardians, they accept us. Ilara nodded, her eyes on the orb. Then we proceed, together. As they reached the culmination of the sequence, the orb brightened to a radiant intensity. The energy flowed outward, illuminating chambers that had previously been hidden. The carvings revealed scenes of exploration, discovery, and cooperation, illustrating civilizations that had grown not by domination but by understanding and harmony. Mara gasped as one wall revealed an intricate map of star systems connected by streams of energy. These are other worlds, abandoned civilizations, knowledge repositories. They've left guidance for those capable of following. Kyle studied the map, eyes wide. This is a treasure trove of wisdom. They wanted beings who could understand responsibility, empathy, and cooperation to access it. We've earned that trust. Ilara felt a mixture of awe and determination. Humanity had always sought to explore, but this was different. The ruins offered not just knowledge, but the means to grow, to understand, and to elevate themselves. The lurking presence, now fully revealed as the Guardian, had accepted them, not as intruders, but as worthy participants in a legacy spanning millennia. The team explored the newly revealed chambers, discovering artifacts of immense complexity, tools that could manipulate energy, devices that recorded history in a way that transcended language, and data spheres that contained knowledge of physics, biology, and interstellar navigation far beyond human capability. Kale gently touched one of the devices, and a holographic display emerged, showing a civilization interacting seamlessly with technology and the environment. This is incredible. They lived in harmony with their creations, with each other, with the universe itself. They achieved understanding, not just power. Mara nodded slowly. And now, some of that understanding is ours. But we must respect it, just as they did. Ilara stepped back, taking in the chamber and the pulsing orb at its center. This is a turning point for humanity. We've learned that knowledge is not just something to acquire, it's something to respect, to understand, and to integrate into who we are. The Guardians have shown us that the true test is not intelligence alone, but the capacity to use it wisely. As the day turned to night, the team gathered in the central chamber, reflecting on their journey. The ruins had challenged them, tested their resolve, and demanded cooperation. In doing so, they had revealed not only knowledge, but insight into what it meant to be truly advanced as a species. The orb pulsed steadily, a gentle rhythm that resonated through the chamber and into the hearts of the humans. The shadows of the Guardians flickered around them, peaceful and approving. Humanity had passed the tests, not through force, but through patience, cooperation, and courage. Ilara spoke quietly, more to herself than anyone else. We have been shown that we are capable of understanding, capable of growth, capable of rising to meet challenges far beyond what we've faced. We are worthy of this legacy if we carry it responsibly. Kyle added softly, and we must. This is more than discovery. This is stewardship. We are now part of a continuum of civilizations that valued knowledge, wisdom, and cooperation above all. Mara looked around at her team, the exhaustion in their bodies matched by the exhilaration in their minds. We've seen what humans can achieve when we work together, and we've learned that the universe has ways of testing us, guiding us, preparing us for what comes next. Ilara nodded. Tomorrow, we document, analyze, and begin the process of integrating what we've learned. But tonight, we rest. The Guardians have accepted us. The ruins have revealed their secrets, and humanity has taken its next step into the greater universe. As they settled for rest, the chamber pulsed gently, the orb's glow filling every corner. Outside, the ruins stretched endlessly under the quiet stars, silent yet alive with the energy of the Guardians. The lurking presence had fulfilled its purpose, guiding humanity not through fear, but through wisdom and opportunity. Ilara gazed at the largest orb one last time before closing her eyes. She felt a profound connection to the civilization that had built this place, to the Guardians that still lingered in energy and shadow, and to the potential of humanity itself. The ruins were no longer a mystery to fear, but a promise of what could be achieved when intelligence, courage, and cooperation were combined. When the team finally rested, they dreamed not of fear or danger, but of exploration, understanding, and the vast potential that awaited them among the stars. Humanity had passed the final test. The ruins were silent once more, except for the gentle pulsing of the orbs, a rhythm of recognition, respect, and anticipation for the next chapter of discovery. And in that silence, Ilara understood the truth the Guardians had imparted. Knowledge is not a prize to be taken, but a responsibility to be earned. Humanity had earned it. Humanity was ready.